Okay, here we are in Innisfail. We've got Rodney Timms, Malcolm Roberts, our lead senator, Canada and Queensland. And we're going to find out a whole lot about the fishing industry, the impacts on the industry, and what's happening to Australian seafood. You've been in the industry for 30 years. You distribute all over Australia. Timmsey, tell us how it is. What's going on in this industry?
Well, like you said, we've been in this part of the industry for 30 years. Before that, I was driving one of the boats for my dad. But now, there's no future in the industry whatsoever at the moment. The industry is all overseas owned by Chinese, mainly, and also the amount of imported seafood into Australia is around 87%. Ooh. And it's just absolutely shocking. And a lot of the seafood that's locally caught now is going overseas, but the companies that's sending it overseas has got Australian names, but if you go to the back door and have a look who owns that company with the Australian name is Chinese.
That's bloody shocking.
But we've also got another problem, Steve, and that's why we came up here in the first place to be with Ross, and that is that we've got over-regulation in the industry. And you know, tell us about your VMSs.
Well, like you just said, it's over-regulated to the hilt, this industry. Now they put these VMSs on us.
Which are vessel monitoring systems?
Yes. Now, child molesters have got them on their ankles, but they don't have to pay for theirs.
Oh, that's right. You have to pay.
We've got to pay.
And you have to maintain, and the government tells you which ones to buy.
That's right.
And there's a bit of a cosy connection between the suppliers and the government, maybe?
Yes, it looks like that in Brisbane on a couple of ones there.
But the thing is, when you go out on this thing that you've got no choice in, you go out there, if it breaks down, and it's not designed for salt, it's not designed for marine, it's not designed for humidity in the north. No. If it breaks down, you stop fishing, but you've got all your boat loaded up for 4 days.
That's right. You've got all your crew on there. You might have 7 or 8 days fishing to do, and if it breaks down, you may not even know that it's broken down. And if a fishery officer comes along and says to you, can I see your monitoring system is functioning, and you might know, and he says it's not functioning, you're liable to a massive fine then.
So you get caught with all the costs, and you get caught with all the impositions, and you get a fine on top of that on something that you can't control.
Yeah, yes, that's right. We can't control it. And not only is that's just the last nail in the coffin. Now, before that, we've got all these other regulations. But in our industry now, no matter what you do in your life, there is always a little bit of human error. In the fishing industry, you've got no human error. You make one little fraction of a mistake, they got you. They book you. There's no give and take. There's no nothing, you know. And it's the only industry in the world today where you want to work, but they've loaded you up so much with regulations you can't work. You're frightened to work.
Tim, you know the big fishing bodies that are here in this area here and right across Australia, you know, they get fined the same as you blokes, but it's like a parking ticket to them.
It's a cost of
business.
If they get fined 20 grand, they just pay that ticket and go out to sea. If you get fined 20 grand, they can almost destroy your business. Is that happening?
Well, the way it is now with owner-operators, not business boats, but owner-operators, if an owner-operator right now, with the weather we've had, the cost of fuel, the way the fisheries, the way the government and everybody else is coming down on us, someone got knocked off for 20 grand, that's the end of story. It's breaking up marriages because, and you can't blame the wife. When the wife has 1 or 2 kids, she wants security. Now, we had that in the industry, but now he comes home and says, the fisheries got me again, another $1,300. There's no fines that, you know, when they knock you off for something that an amateur gets knocked off for cost them $150. Ours is about $2,000.
I don't know how you're coping, mate.
See, this is happening.
Well, that's why we're ready to close down. I can retire. I've got 2 sons. don't want to come into the industry, my two grandsons either. But I'm 69, I'm 70 in November. I can retire, but I don't want to, because what happens in our industry now when we've got no new fishermen going to take over? When the government turns around and says, what about the food chain for Australian people? We're going to be like the Greeks. No one knows how to grow olives.
I think you hit the nail on the head. You're telling us that there's 87% of seafood has been imported to Australia. They're stopping blokes like you fishing, and you've got all the corporate knowledge, and your sons aren't going to work in the industry, so we're going to have no Australian fishermen. So we're going to be relying upon bloody China and all these other countries around the world so that our people can eat seafood.
You're going to be eating flavoured cardboard.
Bloody hell.
So what is some of the stuff they put in that food that comes in from overseas?
They've got what do they call artificial colouring.
Yep.
They got bleach. They bleach the fish. No fish comes out.
It's a nice diet, isn't it? Bleach.
Yeah, well, no fish comes out as white as your t-shirt. No fish. There's not a fish in the water that is white as your t-shirt. So when you're sold a piece of bassa in Coles or Woolworths and it's as white as your shirt, it's bleached that colour. It's got antibiotics in it. It's got long-term preservatives in it.
Whereas Australian seafood, Australian farm produce is known for high quality.
Yes.
I tell you what, we're in big trouble, mate.
And our fish that comes out of the ocean, the fish that the wife and I sell at our shop, and I send all over Australia, it has not been touched. What you're eating is the way it comes out of the ocean.
There's something really, really serious going on, because what the United Nations does, it foments interdependency. You know, it's a lovely word, interdependency, just like a lot of the crap from the UN. What it means, though, is when you destroy your industry, you're no longer interdependent with someone else, you are dependent on the others. And that's what the UN is doing. It's driving us to dependency. This is our food supply. And it's echoed right across the farm sector.
Yeah.
Well, we know what's going on in the beef industry at the moment. You go to buy meat these days, it's nearly $40 a kilo.
Yeah.
How much does it cost for a kilo of fish, on average?
Well, the average kilo of fish in the north is around $30.
Jeez.
But down south, it can reach double that, more.
So what we're doing is we're cutting off the food supply to the Australian people. Can you imagine if you're a pensioner? If you're a pensioner, you're not going to be able to buy beef, you're not going to be able to buy fish. What are we supposed to eat?
Well, that's what Timmsey said in his shop. A lot of people these days are turning to chicken because they can't afford the fish and the beef.
That's right.
Yeah, and then they'll drive up the cost of chicken. What's going to be next?
Well, with fish, like we've got big amounts of it here in the north, coral trout on the east coast of Australia, we got big amounts of coral trout. But the average blojo in the street can't get a feed of coral trout because it's all going to China and Hong Kong live. And if you want a feed of it, it's $64, $70 a kilo.
And you know what else, Steve, is this is being driven by a Greens agenda. And the Labor Party pushes that agenda because it wants their preferences.
Yes.
And so the Greens dominate the policies in this country towards agriculture, towards forestry, towards fishing, towards farming, towards the clearing of land. They control all the inputs through regulations now. And the Labor Party just follows suit. And then the Liberals jump on board and they say, we've got to get Greens preferences too. So they're all doing a bidding war to get Greens preferences. Meanwhile, the whole country is being flushed down the toilet.
It's that way. You know, I've been involved in politics for many years. For some reason I took an interest in it when I was a young fella.
You're crazy.
I know. But what I found out over the last 15, 20 years is the two big parties is frighten the politicians themselves are fighting with each other, plus they're frightened to go out and say things because it comes back at them. No one's game to run the country anymore. They're just running their parties.
And,
and because the Pauline Hanson's party, she gets in the crap a lot because you people are saying what the people are saying to you. You're repeating what the people are thinking.
And Agenda 21, some of the politicians say it doesn't exist. Then when they finally admit that it does exist, they say, well, it can't be It's not something compulsory, but it is made compulsory through regulations, and some of the things are bypassing Parliament altogether and being enacted. You know, the one politician who's called out Agenda 21 for 23 years? Pauline Hanson.
Yeah.
I tell you,
I've
Malcolm,
called it out for 8 years.
Yeah.
tell you what, Malcolm, there is one solution to this problem. We need to get elected to the Senate, and we need to do a bloody Senate inquiry into the fishing industry in Australia and find out what the hell is going on, because we're being sold out at the rate of 87% of imported fish and seafood products coming to this country, and we're decimating our own seafood industry. Something's bloody rotten in Australia, and I think it's the government.
And this is your security, our security, food security. So, Steve, I reckon we can make a commitment. If we get into the Senate, we will be pushing very hard for a Senate inquiry into the fishing industry, the regulations that are taxing this industry out of existence, the imported ownership, the imported seafood that we've got coming into this country, superior quality. So I think we need to really get onto this well and truly. And that's our commitment if we are elected into the Senate again.
You know, when you talking to someone down south there, you want to ask them about the stuff that's coming into Australia in boxes that is marked one thing, but inside the box it's raw prawn, peeled prawn, which is banned.
There are so many things we've got to really get hold of in this. Thank you very much.